Good damn afternoon, Americans. Jericho Green here with you once again. Get all green gear 25% off. Promo code Jericho1, all caps, and the number 1. So I've been seeing stories here and there over the past couple weeks, so I decided to do a little dig in. And I've been reading these reports about all of these random attacks against Asian people in the Bay Area in California. San Jose to like San Francisco, Oakland, San Francisco, that whole area. So the first story that I heard about was this elderly man. I believe he was in his 90s, like 94. And it was caught on somebody's security camera in front of their house, like in their driveway or something. And across the street, you see somebody come up to this man and push him on the ground. So when he pushed him on the ground, he hits his head, the old man dies. So there's been all these attacks, purse snatchings, and people getting beat up and shit like that. Let's take all the fucking color out of it. Let's take the race out of it. We can all agree, if you hurt, rob, kill an old person, you should be boiled. You should be skinned alive and thrown into a wood chipper. You should have your legs. They used to have, I saw this show on the History Channel, and it was called Machines of Malice. And it was these medieval torture devices, different ways, during the Spanish Inquisition and shit like that, during the Crusades, that they would get people to talk. And there was one, I can't remember what it was called, but it was like some misery kind of shit, where they basically put these pieces of wood around your legs and they hammer wedges in between the legs and in between your legs and the piece of wood, and it basically makes your two legs useless pieces of meat hanging off of your ass. It crushes your legs to the point where bone marrow comes out. That's what these people deserve. We all agree? All right, let's move on. So, of course, the reason this is happening, don't shout it out yet, kids. Don't shout out the answer early. Of course, the reason that this is happening is because of who? Donald Trump. That's right, because of his xenophobic rhetoric, because he called it the China virus. They said that he called it the Kung flu. Now, I've heard, of course, Trump say China virus a million times, and it's true. China gave it to us. So, I personally haven't seen any footage of him calling it the Kung flu or tweets. And maybe he did. I'm not saying he didn't. All I'm saying is I haven't seen it. And if he did, that's not a good look. But whatever. Let's say he did say that. He did say China virus. Let's say he said Kung flu also. If somebody is racist enough, crazy enough, or whatever, to hear the president say that and then take that as marching orders, President Trump isn't the problem. They have some mental issues. They're all fucked up. It's not his fault. No normal person is going to do that. No normal person is going to take that as, oh, let me hurt some Asian people. And from what I read a few different articles, none of the victims are Chinese. Hold up. So you're saying Trump is the cause of these attacks because he called COVID-19 China virus, Kung flu. China. Kung fu, it's from China. So how come none of the victims were Chinese? A lot of Vietnamese, a lot of Cambodians, I think one Japanese person, and they caught the kid who is suspected of pushing down and killing that old man. And I don't know if he's an actual kid, but he's young. You gotta go. You take somebody's life over some bullshit, we gotta take yours. Period. In the worst way possible. I've always said we need to outsource our criminals. We need to send them to third world countries for punishment. And if you take X amount of our criminals to punish them, we will take X amount of your cream of the crop to become citizens here. I think that's fair. We get our punishment, they get the American dream. I've always thought that was a good thing because we're just not tough enough on prisoners here. We don't do enough punishment. We're too focused on rehab and programs. If you're serving life, you don't deserve a college degree. That's bullshit. I'm not paying for you to get more of an education than I got. I'm not paying for you to get a free education when out here I'd be $50,000 in fucking debt. That is retarded. So that kid needs to pay the ultimate price. All these people doing this shit, they need to pay a price. You don't fuck with elderly people. That's disgusting. But it's Trump's fault somehow. These buzzwords, these, what do they call them? Dog whistles? I hate that shit. He's saying this word and President Trump called it the China virus or Kung flu. I must find Asian person to torment. Get the fuck out of here. Now that part of it I don't like. I'll tell you the part I do like. People are taking it into their own hands. They're organizing groups to walk elderly people to and from wherever they need to go in their neighborhoods. I like the fact that people are taking it upon themselves to protect themselves. Not waiting for the government to come in and fuck things up even more, but they're protecting their own. And it's not just people in the Asian community. You got people coming from all over the place to help. That's the American way. Not waiting for the government. Now, of course, there's a place for the police, of course. But if we can handle that shit on our own, that's what we need to do. Because we can. We know better than the government. We're smarter than them, and we're less corrupt. So that part of it I do like. I like that people are like, you know what, we're not going to stand for this shit. This is a fucking tragedy. And we're going to take care of it ourselves. That part I do like. But blaming it on Trump, blaming it on some outside source that doesn't even exist is bullshit. Nobody's doing this because they heard from Trump. They're doing it because they're evil. Because they're a sick, disgusting sociopath, a psychopath. Who else is going to push an old man down on the sidewalk? Or rob some old person? Someone who's evil. Don't give a damn what anybody says. You ever try to talk somebody? How come it's always so easy to blame somebody for saying something that triggers another person to do something wrong or stupid or evil? But you ever try to talk somebody out of doing something like that? You ever try to talk some sense into somebody? How come that's so hard? But putting a battery in somebody's back to go do some stupid shit is so easy. That doesn't make any sense. Now, let's keep in the continent of Asia, shall we? So yesterday marked the anniversary of the internment camps in America. And it was from February of 42 to, I believe, March of 46. So it was like right after, a couple months after Pearl Harbor, they started them. And then we dropped the nuke in August of 45. So at 7 months, 6-7 months later, it stopped. So now, look, here's how I feel about the internment camps. I had a teacher, Mr. Sugimoto, at my high school, and he was in the internment camps when he was a kid. And while we were in his class, he got the reparations from, was it the state or the federal government, whatever. He got a reparations check for 30 G's. I remember him, and he wasn't like bragging about it, but he was telling us his experiences. And so like, it ended in 46. This was 97, 96 maybe. So it was damn near 40 or over 40 years. No, 50 years. Thanks, public school. Like 50 years later. Now, what they're doing is on the anniversary of the internment camps, and it was like over 100,000 Japanese people who were in internment camps all up and down California, Nevada, pretty much the whole country. It was over 100,000 people, and a lot of good things came out of it. But hold on, let me explain. A lot of people did a lot of good things. I should put it that way. Like the story of Tanamira and Antle. Next time you get produce from the store, I guarantee you, I don't care where you are in this country, you will see some products from Tanamira and Antle. And Tanamira was a Japanese guy who lost his business because of that. And then, you know, you got stories of people who would buy, like a friend of theirs who was Japanese and they were taken in the internment camp. They would take over their business, and then when they got to the internment camp, they sold it back to them for $1. Or I knew a guy whose dad was stationed there as a guard at the internment camps, and from there he was going over to Japan. So he emptied his sea bag, his duffel bag, filled it with letters from the internment, or the prisoners, I guess you call them, and when he got to Japan, he delivered, it took him like a couple years, but he delivered all the letters to the people that gave him letters to deliver. So a lot of things like that happened, and to see people taking care of each other like that was awesome. But on the anniversary of that, they, in the Japanese community, they make that shit sound like every Japanese person in America is like, yep, we're behind it, where some of them are probably like, man, that shit's stupid, and I agree. So they're supporting HR 40, which is they're assembling a council to look into reparations. That's stupid ass shit. Now, the difference between the reparations for the Japanese and the reparations for slaves is that the Japanese were able to get the reparations to the people who are actually in the internment camps, who actually went through it, that were there. This happened to you. Sorry about that. Here's your money. With slavery, that shit was hundreds of years ago. It should have been done then, but it wasn't. So we're not going to go back and give a bunch of money to people who don't deserve it and take it from a bunch of people who don't deserve to be paying it, because it's like 1, 2, maybe 3% of black folks here in this country are descendants of slaves. So what happens when you have a group of people and you only give goodies to one person in that group? What is the rest of the group going to think? How's the rest of the group going to feel? Exactly. That shit is stupid. It is too late. Put it to bed. It's like a little kid throwing a tantrum. It's time for bed. Put it to bed. It's over. You don't know who the hell is a descendant of a slave, who owned them. What is it? 5% of white people own slaves? So what white people are they? And what black people are going to get it? You're going to line up all the black people? What, are we going to go to fucking 23andMe stations set up across the country where you go in and get a fucking swab in your mouth? Get the fuck out of here. You're just going to have black folks standing in line for hours to get a swab in their mouth to see if they get some scraps from the government. And you know what? A bunch of fools would line up for that shit too. You want to see what would happen? Go on, since you're already on YouTube, look up Dave Chappelle reparations. That's what would happen. It's stupid. You don't know who to pay for it and who to pay. So stop. But this isn't even something that's going to happen. They're just going to assemble a council to look into what might happen if we were going to. It's a bunch of stupid shit. It's a pacifier. Wah, 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 reparations. Here you go. Shut up. It's a tit in your mouth. Shut up. Okay, we'll get a council here. Shut up. You're annoying. That's what that is. They ain't going to do shit. You had a colored president. If you were going to get reparations, that's the man who was supposed to give it to you. That's what you tell me. So if you didn't get it from him, what in the fuck makes you think you're going to get it from Bidenist pervertists? Mr. Poor kids are just as smart as white kids. I learned a lot about roaches that summer. If you ain't voting for me, you ain't black. And the list goes on. The hits keep on coming. So if you didn't get it from Barack, I smoke cools and play basketball, Obama, you are not going to get it from Bidenist, hey, this isn't the mall, pervertists. Forget it. Assemble a council to look into. That's like telling your kid, maybe. Can we do this? Can we get that? Maybe. We'll see. You stupid asses. You don't deserve no damn reparations check. And how much would it be? Stupid. So thank you, Japanese community, whoever is supporting us. What other group of people need such support, such adoration, such confirmation all the time? Oh, speaking of Japanese people, let me tell you a funny ass story. I'm trying to tell you a story. It's not really a long story. But anyway, I was cooking at work one time, and I was making this ginger miso soup. So the miso soup, a little tofu in there, some green onion, a little toasted sesame oil. I get down. So I have it, and I give it to the lady, and this older Japanese lady comes up. So I'm all right. I'm already thinking, man, if she likes it, I know I did good. I mean, let's be real. If you're making a dish, and there's some, especially an elderly person who's probably had that dish 100 times the way it's supposed to be from their home country, yeah, you're going to put a little bit more stock into their opinion. So this older Japanese lady, she's probably like 70. Well, she was Asian, so she probably could have been 158, but she looked 70. And she came up, and she got it, and she ate it, or drank it, sipped it, whatever. And she goes, "Ooh, this is a good." That shit was funny. I was like, hey, I made it. This older Japanese lady likes my miso soup. You can't tell me shit. But she sounded like Sonny Chiba. Any old school martial arts movie fans, you know who that is. But she sounded like Sonny Chiba. Ew, this is a good. Man, stop that bullshit. Why don't you do like everybody else does that in this country who has something, who's successful, who owns something? Work hard. I don't want to hear no bullshit about no system. Because people come here with more color in their own body than 10 black folks put together. You see some of these Africans over here? They're not hindered. They're not slowed. They're not stopped by these hurdles that are supposed to be put in place by the man. They blow right through them and stay focused. Even if there was systemic racism, they wouldn't give a shit. It wouldn't stop them. What about the people, the black folks who were successful in the midst of it? People always talk about, oh, Black Wall Street. That was in the early 1900s. They were successful in the midst of it. The worst time for black folks in this country. How'd they do it? Oh, yeah, that W word. You need to start worrying about the fucking N word and start worrying about the W word. Work. All you have to do is work, and everything else will fall into place. I promise you. Scouts, honor. Work. What did R.I.P. to John Witherspoon, the dad from Friday. I met him one time. Funny ass dude, telling me stories about doing cocaine with Johnny Carson at Thanksgiving. Anyway, and Friday he told Craig, he said, Craig, the word of the day is J-O-B. So stop worrying about the damn N word and stop worrying about the W word. Work. Or the F word. Family. Or if you really want to get crazy, the H word and the W word. Hard work. I know. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to drop that on you like that. But if you want to get crazy, try hard work. There's no other outcome. If you work hard, you will be prosperous in America. That's just the way it is. Water's wet, the sky is blue, and the sun is hot. And if you work hard in America, you're going to be somebody. I promise. I don't understand it. How do people get caught up in this shit? Reparations, man. Stop talking about that bullshit and get on to something that's really going to help people. Like an intact nuclear family, not a check from the government who can't get shit right. Man, let me get over here with my beautiful wife and kids. Oh, speaking of my kids, so my wife and my daughter are going to go get mani-pedis. My daughter saved up her money. That's what she wants to do. Miss freshly just turned 9 years old last month. And she asked my wife, Mommy, can you just drop me off at the nail salon? What? Girl, you're crazy. I ain't dropping you off nowhere. No nail salon. She's like, can you drop me off? Man, these kids are crazy. Man, you better hope it wasn't just me. Because if it's up to me, I'll never drop you off anywhere. I'm going to buy you some turtlenecks and burlap sacks. Anyway, fathers out there, you know what I'm talking about. You know how it goes. I try to be done with the left, but they just won't let me. Please subscribe. Hit that notification bell because every time it rings, a piece of shit lefty cries. Get your Jericho Green notification tone. Link in the description box. Utilize the PayPal link and the Teespring link to get your green gear. I am Jericho Green. Man, I'm out.